Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus Us. D Plus Us, the show. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin L. Griffin. Ben with me as always is wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How you doing?
We're off to a banger start here, y'all.
Oh, I have not had enough coffee to do this today. I haven't had enough coffee to live.
That's
today.
okay. On my end, my transition just didn't work, and I don't know why, so that's fun.
Dude, I still do it all manually because I am
Smart.
just that way.
The answer is smart.
Now we're talking about National Treasure Edge of History, folks. We are on episode 9, A Meeting with Salazar. We are going full spoilers for this, so if you have not seen the show, go watch the episode, come right on back and listen to our thoughts, because it's a doozy this week. It is a hell of an episode. I'm gonna hit y'all with that plot description before we get started here. That is on Disney Plus. After getting caught by Billy, all hope of saving the treasure seems lost for Jess and her dad. Tasha, Oren, Ethan, and Liam try to track Jess and her dad down using Tasha's tech skills. Meanwhile, Liam finds a hidden cipher left behind by his grandpa, which holds the truth about Billy and the mysterious Salazar. Full spoilers, Mitch. What did you think of this week's episode?
I loved it until the end.
I loved it because of the end. Because it totally caught me off guard.
It did, but it did so for me, at least, in a way that didn't pay off this week. I'm really hoping we get an explanation next week. Because you're going to take a character that was a supporting character in the films and turn him into a multinational treasure-destroying cabal leader?
I mean,
what?
Look, it is not far-fetched to think this guy hates treasure hunting.
I guess, but it seems like
that.
a
Like, I'm
stretch.
interested to see how they explain that away. It's just the fact that they very much implied that they've killed the FBI agent.
Oh yeah. Ross is dead.
Mm-hmm. Look, anything can happen. This is National Treasure shit. But the moment.
Oh, that's the other thing. She was impaled on a sword.
The moment it was a sword. Like, I figured something was gonna happen when they're looking at like all of the faces, like Billy and all the other people. But then a sword.
So Ross gets stabbed by Hendrix, right? Salazar, whatever you want to call him. And I'm like, oh, that was weird ADR for the sound effect of the stabbing. It didn't sound like a dagger or a knife. Like, all right, that was weird. And it was like the unsheathing of a sword. Like, yeah. Like that last moment just kind of, it lowered the bar for me, at least with this week's episode. I loved everything up to this point. And the ending was just like, why?
The way everything came together was so fun.
It could have been literally any other hench person.
I
guess they had to reveal who Salazar was.
I liked that it was him though. Like, I like that there is like that name character stakes to this. It's not just.
I guess there really. Honestly, I think what would have been interesting is if it had ended up being like the morgue guy or someone else unexpected.
The morgue guy would have.
I don't know. I just
great.
Like, that would have been cool. Like, I don't know, Hendrix. I can see now, talking with you, the motivation behind him hating treasure, but like, it's also just a weird thing. Like, oh, they're not treasure hunters; they're treasure destroyers. Like, that's just a weird thing to be.
Yeah, they're
right.
Really gonna have
like, that's not just me. Yeah,
that one. I will say that one was weird.
Yeah,
but like leading into that, everything with like the main gang of characters, them all coming together at the FBI offices, Oren in the FBI. Oren continues to be one of my favorite characters in the show.
Somehow passing a polygraph, which Liam thought was a terrible idea for obvious reasons.
But also, like, she only asked him about the one thing.
That's just plot armor working its hardest.
Mm-hmm. But like everything with Tasha, like really getting to see her tech skills come out in this episode was fun, even if they're consistent movie magic, horrible Let's make fun of
Hey,
hackers.
look, we're gonna rent a room at a motel to steal the rabbit ears off the TV to make an air traffic control app or something work. Like,
I love that. That was weird and stupid, and I loved it.
it was weird and stupid. It's just the IT guy in me is like,
No.
ah.
Yeah, everything coming together. I feel like the FBI was really kind of the main focus of this one, aside from Jess, of course. But
Thankfully, we've been asking for that for weeks, right? Having them just be the FBI and let the FBI do their thing. And Tasha and gang actually rely on the FBI to unravel a bunch of threads in very short and succinct order.
Well, it's kind of that thing of like, the FBI has a level of authority there, which I especially love that they are very much still fuck you guys towards the FBI, as you would expect, as it should be. But this one person is like, well, shit, we need someone who has some sort of authority to do this at this point because we can't.
Yeah.
And like this is a concession that they have to make.
And I mean we've seen that in the films as well. So I mean it's a 3 point of national treasure, I guess,
National
at this
Treasure
point.
has a formula and it works.
It does, even stretched out over 10 hours of Disney Plus content.
God, yeah, this is gonna be 10 hours. Well, about 10 hours by the end of it.
Yeah, like 40-ish minutes per episode on average. So just under 10 hours, but still, like, we've had lulls throughout this season, and I say season because I still hope we get a season 2, but I don't think the odds are in our favor on that one. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is telling a story that is, like you said, it's formulaic. It fits the National Treasure formula in a very strong way. And now with Ross seemingly dead, thanks to discovering that Tic Tacs are a thing. So that's okay. Let's talk about the Tic Tacs for a minute before I get back on track. I love orange Tic Tacs.
Logic possible.
Orange Tic Tacs are the goat Tic Tacs.
They are the only good Tic Tac.
She used orange Tic Tacs to accuse a dude of murder. That's not a thing that should happen, but it did, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate how they did it specifically. Of like
the
weirdest possible way to do it. Of here's this thing we set up episodes ago that we reiterate with a very sweet flower arrangement gift thing from the Moore guy who I really loved it. I really loved him doing that.
I feel really bad for him now that Ross is dead.
Oh yeah, shoot, I didn't think about that. That's gonna be an awkward phone call.
A little bit. Or an awkward visit to the morgue, literally.
And then like having the flashbacks though, and like apparently this guy has had these Tic Tacs the whole time. I never noticed these things.
No, because it is a plot device that they just used for her to very casually pin a murder on a dude because he likes orange Tic Tacs. Everybody likes orange Tic Tac. That's not a murder thing. But here it was, apparently.
She was right. So
she was, but yeah.
No, there is one thing I do very much want to talk about with this week's episode, and Mitch, I can tell you that National Treasure: Edge of History is officially a fully young adult show. Why, you might ask? Because they just randomly have Imagine Dragons in it. They just randomly cut to a montage with Imagine Dragons in it.
You can't have the penultimate encounter without a montage set to some Imagine Dragons song.
It was so out of place. And I just could not help but die laughing when Imagine Dragons started playing.
I mean, if you were playing young adult bingo and Imagine Dragons wasn't on your card, like that is the free space of a young adult bingo card, right? Like it has to be. That and weird leaps in logic and pinning the murder on the dude that was in the thing the whole time, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because viewers are stupid and need to be told the whole way along, hey, this guy is still around for some reason, even though it's not really relevant, but oh, look, it is. The end.
Yeah, it's perfect. Honestly, like we've talked about it every week about we're not expecting this to be good.
It is the perfect young adult show. I would not call this a perfect show by any stretch.
I would say this show is perfect at what it's trying to be. It knows what it is.
That's a reasonable statement.
It very much knows. The show very much knows what it is, and it plays into that a lot.
Yeah.
And suddenly, with all of that, the most unbelievable thing to me in this entire episode is the 20-something girl being good at karaoke.
Well, it was the 20-something girl not being drunk getting up to sing karaoke.
Yeah,
because
it was
there's
like
no universe in which you were doing that sober.
It was the weirdest cutaway that really worked.
It didn't. I'm like, why are we cutting back to Ethan's ex? Like,
It
what
made
the
sense
heck?
once
And
you
then
saw why.
yeah, the alerts on the phone.
Which I will say also, shout out to her friend for being the most supportive best friend possible in that situation.
Fuck this guy. But also, here's a pin of Jess flying over the Gulf of Mexico.
Like she
because
does
plot.
care.
Yeah.
She's not a bad person. It's just this is a really awkward situation.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird when that whole Jess and Liam and Ethan thing is gonna be a thing. And I don't think it's gonna wrap up next week. And if it doesn't wrap up, we're never gonna find out because we're not gonna get a season 2. And that makes me kind of sad, but not entirely sad because at the end of the day, there's so much content.
I'm really being honest, that's a plot point that I just don't care about.
I don't really either.
Like
it's just one of those things that's going to go unresolved, I think, in the finale.
As far as like romances are concerned in this one, like the Oren Tasha romance is sweet.
Yeah.
And like it's cute. And I do like really appreciate it because it's just established and they're just fun together. The rest of them of this whole will they, won't they crap, I do not care in the
It's young adult as all hell. It is so young adult, it's scary.
Like the show
and I don't need it in my
be
life.
better without it.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things where, we have an antagonist that is a person, an attractive person. So it only stands to reason that attractive person would cause other attractive people to be attracted to that person. And we have to explore that because that is it. But I would rather I'm hoping we get to the end of this finale and those expectations are sort of reversed. And it is, I've spent this whole time discovering what it means to be a daughter of the plumed serpent, someone living in the U.S. under DACA, an undocumented immigrant. Like, be who you are and don't let a relationship with one of these boys be that defining thing for this character in the finale. Let her be her own and stand on her own and not need these guys because she really doesn't, just as a kind of a badass at this point. So
I really hope
that's what I'm hoping we see.
I feel confident they will because that's kind of how they took it in the original National Treasure of. It happened. It was not the main reason things ended. I mean, they found the treasure and were like, okay, off to the next one. Like, that's how that wrapped up. I can see them doing the same thing here. At the same time, I can see them very much going down that, the romance is the happy ever after in this situation. And I hope they don't do that. I hate that trope so much.
They stuck the landing so well on this episode that I don't really looking at episodes 1 through 9 from what this is. Like, we know it isn't good TV. It is a decent National Treasure story, decent puzzle solving, all of that stuff. 1 out of the 9 episodes kind of missed for you and I. I think we're both usually fairly positive on this stuff, so I'm sure it missed for a lot of other people. That it does.
I'm sure
there's probably more misses than hits.
And said, "I'm never coming back."
Yeah, I've been trying to convince my sister that she needs to keep watching it. She's loved these National Treasure movies since forever, so much so that she rewatches them at least once or twice a year. And she's like, "Oh, it's been tough to stick it out." I'm like, everything other than episode 8 is kind of okay.
I wonder once it's like fully out if people will give it more of a shot, because then it is a open and shut story.
Maybe, but I also don't see Disney, there has been some advertising for this on Twitter. Disney has been promoting that the episodes are out and stuff, so that's good to see. But really, have you seen any advertisements for this show anywhere?
No, not
because it's going to get buried. It will get buried in the discourse that is March 1st,
even more,
aka Mando Day.
Even more than that, though, people aren't talking about the show. I constantly am looking at other Disney podcasts, partially as a fan, partially as hey, what are some ideas for us to be doing? I'm not seeing anybody talking about this show.
Other than us.
And
I
that's just because we here and there, but it's all people like us who are very small, very just, we want to talk about a show every week. Let's do.
Didn't necessarily have to be this one. We could have been doing Bad Batch, or we could have been doing
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
Bad
That's really
Batch is the only show running right now. Only other show running.
But even looking at that, I feel like there is just a bit of a lull in people's affinity for Disney Plus programming, and I think that's going to come back in force in March with the launch of Mando season 3. But like the Proud Family season 2, Louder and Prouder season 2 dropped today. I didn't know that was coming out until yesterday. Like, and we do a Disney Plus podcast.
That is one they've been advertising for a little while, and that was a release date they announced back at D23.
Yeah, it's just one of those things of unless you're in the zeitgeist, like I feel like Disney can do a better job when they have these large acquisition moments or these large retention moments like Mando launches. Well, since last Mando, here's a bunch of things that dropped that you might be interested in. I'm hoping we see more of a pickup as people come back to Disney Plus as their streaming service of the moment, because as we were talking about before we started recording, we're definitely seeing a cableification of streaming services where each platform is kind of segmenting off their own content, and if you want to subscribe to every major streaming platform there is, you are essentially paying what our parents would monthly for a cable subscription,
if not
but
more.
it's streaming, so it's better, right? No, it's not.
But it's
It
all
really
over the
it's
internet.
not.
Look, I'm all for cutting the cord and not going with cable, but it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't need we can talk about this. It's sort of relevant to what we talk about, but Netflix today announced their password sharing policy restrictions that they're going to be implementing, where you have to sign in from your home network once every 31 days on that device. Otherwise, that device gets blocked from accessing that account. That is going to force me to cancel my Netflix subscription because right now I share that with family members who live in multiple households. And it is not reasonable to expect that they're going to bring their Apple TV or their Chromecast or whatever device it might be to my house to authenticate once a month. That's just unreasonable.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I have a little brother who's at college who uses these accounts. And it's like, yeah, he can't come home once a month.
No. And Disney, thankfully, has not done anything like this. It's just like, yeah, you can have however many simultaneous streams at a time based on your subscription, and that's enough. And it's ironic too with Netflix,
everyone else is like, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah,
Everybody else
Netflix
is like,
themselves.
stupid.
Netflix themselves said it was a horrible idea. They used to advertise that love is sharing a password. They're like, yeah, but only if you live in the same house. Sorry. Like, and people are going to have to start making realistic decisions, especially with the more troubling, difficult economic times we're living through. I can't justify subscribing to the sports packages and Netflix and Disney Plus. And in Canada, we have Crave, which is sort of one of our cable providers licenses HBO. We don't actually have HBO, so we use Crave.
I know what that is now.
But if you're in the US, like you have Peacock, you have Paramount Plus. Like it isn't reasonable to expect people to subscribe to everything. People are going to have to make choices. And I think Disney is putting out enough content where when you come back from Mando, they're like, well, I guess I could hold on to that sub to watch this National Treasure thing that I missed, or to watch The Proud Family, or to watch Big Shot season 2 or season 1 if you're like me and haven't watched either of them. Like, I think there's enough there to retain customers in a way that we're not seeing with Netflix original content. HBO hit or miss, especially with what they did with Batgirl.
HBO's in a very weird place with all of this. Like, I feel like HBO and Netflix are the two that are taking the most hits right now.
Yeah.
Netflix has this whole strategy thing, this horrible password sharing thing, and then they're also just recently canceled a bunch of their shows. Meanwhile, HBO is mostly because of Warner Brothers is just destroying their animation department. It's all disappearing. They took down Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
That's crazy.
Like one of their most popular shows on there. Period.
One of what, like James Gunn said, those are the inspiration for his new DC universe.
Mm-hmm. And aside from that, they're also taking down a bunch of their live action content as well. They're just making this stuff disappear. That is the terrifying thing about streaming to me.
Yeah.
Is content, stuff that people work extremely hard on and really put a lot of time, love, and care into, can just disappear.
Yeah, even bringing it back into our world, when Netflix announced that the Marvel Netflix shows were leaving Netflix, there was not a plan to release those on Disney Plus. Thankfully, Disney did announce that a few weeks later, but at the time, a lot of the articles coming out are, will Disney save Daredevil? Will these things live on somewhere, or are they going to just disappear? And there's a very strong possibility with any of this original content, Disney or other providers, that one day they just be like, no, we're good. Let's just dump it. We don't need it here. And that's a scary prospect. But on the other hand, how accessible are things that are on cable television if you don't go out and buy the DVD box set or purchase that full season of NCIS Las Vegas inspection? Like, I don't know. Those are some weird shows. I don't know all the subtitles.
Don't worry, they'll make that eventually.
Yeah, don't support these shows that just prop up police propaganda, please. But like those sorts of things, like there are mechanisms to be able to quote unquote own those things, but unless you're one of those crazies collecting the DVD box sets who don't look so crazy after they bring this stuff down. So it's, I don't know, like, is there a good path forward? At least to this point, Disney hasn't dumped any content from their service other than not uploading some of the really old racist stuff that Disney put out,
which is fine.
Like Song of the South, which is fine. We don't need that stuff to exist.
I'm frankly fine with their whole, we're going to pretend it doesn't exist.
I like the approach of certain things where they acknowledge that there are problems with it, but they are not going to change it. And then other situations are like, no, we're just going to, I'd rather them do that and have a statement. And then if it is incredibly offensive, don't show it anywhere. Like just drop it from all places, but at least have a stance. I don't like the ignore it, pretend like it doesn't exist, because it does exist. It's part of their company's history. And at least they're acknowledging that it's bad and removing Splash Mountain from the parks. It's a start.
Speaking of that, there's something I do need to put out there. Hey, folks, we're your resident Disney adults here on this podcast. We love Disney. Those people that are like mourning the loss of Splash Mountain like they've lost a child, the people that were held like, I saw one person who brought a bunch of stuffed animals and practically had a funeral service for the thing. The people who are like
people that were bottling up Splash Mountain water and selling it online.
Mm-hmm. The people that are using this to very casually veil their racism. They're not a part of this. They do not associate.
We ain't
with
that.
This. That is not truly what this is all about.
I can't wait for Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
I just need
it's
to
gonna
get
be
that
awesome.
out there.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Yeah, bringing it back to National Treasure though. This is an episode that made me really excited for the finale.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they can end this on a high. Episode 8 was not that. Episode 9 was that, until I know we had mixed feelings on the way it ended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot that could go down in episode 10, and I'm excited to chat all about it with you next week, Griff.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fun finale next week, folks, so stay tuned for that. Mitch, if people want to keep up with us until then, where can people find us?
At D Plus Us. YouTube is a great spot. Find D Plus Us on YouTube. Hit that little notification bell. Find out when we go live. Hit that subscribe button. It'd be super helpful. Lots of really fun shorts Griffin's putting up there. We had one with almost 2,000 views, which is kind of crazy to me. TikTok, Twitter, D Plus Us. It's on all the things. Our links are in other places. You don't need to worry about us. Go to the YouTube.
Check out that YouTube channel. It's really fun.
YouTube.
And we will be doing more content there soon once I decide to start editing things and writing things, recording things.
It will happen. Let me know what you need from me. I'm happy to help.
What I need, honestly, is motivation.
You can do it.
Perfect. There we go. There's my motivation, folks. Now, we'll be back with another episode next week, but we do have plenty of stuff out right now to check out. Obviously, you can catch the entirety of this season on the YouTube channel. We also have episodes up about Strange World, Muppets Christmas Carol. That's it. That's all.
Expect episodes soon on Ant-Man. Maybe Quantumania is out in a couple of weeks. We're excited to talk about that when that drops. Maybe we'll get to some of those episodes we've been promising over the months, like Last Jedi. You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we have a list. We are getting through them. We're finding guests for these episodes. That's kind of what makes the main show unique. Keep an eye out for those. Those are coming very soon. But we will have that next time. So thank you very, very much for listening. And until next time, have a magical day.